Part 10. The storm. The state of California is suddenly struck by an invasion of mutant creatures. These mutant creatures, which seem to have originated from a secret research facility within the state, are extremely powerful and difficult to defeat. They possess a variety of unique abilities, such as the ability to control minds, shoot fire from their eyes, or manipulate the elements at will. The creatures quickly spread across the state, wreaking havoc and destroying everything in their path. As news of the invasion reaches the other states within the Empire of Frostreach, they spring into action. They send their most powerful and skilled warriors, such as the Elemental Lords and the Celestial Dragons, to assist California in repelling the invaders. The forces of Frostreach must not only defeat the mutant creatures, but also locate and shut down the secret research facility that created them. Meanwhile, within the state of California, the people are left reeling from the sudden and brutal attack. The creatures have laid waste to entire cities, rendering them uninhabitable. The government scrambles to coordinate a response, calling upon the National Guard and any able-bodied citizen to help defend their homeland. As the battle rages on, the people of California begin to question the ethical implications of their own government's secret research and the potential consequences of playing with forces they cannot control. The forces of Frostreach, led by their most powerful champions, begin to arrive on the scene. The Elemental Lords use their control over the elements to great effect, summoning tornadoes and hurricanes to batter the mutant creatures, while the Celestial Dragons soar through the skies, breathing fire upon the invaders and raining down destruction from above. The combined might of Frostreach's forces slowly begins to turn the tide of battle, but the secret research facility at the heart of the invasion remains elusive. Meanwhile, deep within the facility, the scientists who created the mutant creatures are frantically working to unlock their full potential. They believe that if they can fully control these creatures, they could rule the world and bring about a new era of peace and prosperity. As the battle rages on, they are forced to choose between continuing their research and joining the fight to save their own lives. Their decision will shape the course of the war and the fate of the world. Outside the facility, the combined forces of Frostreach and California continue their relentless assault. The Elemental Lords manipulate the elements with greater precision, creating powerful whirlpools that drown the mutant creatures and freezing them solid. The Celestial Dragons use their superior speed and agility to dart in and out of battle, picking off stragglers and supporting the ground forces. Inside the facility, the scientists debate amongst themselves about their next move. Some argue that they should continue their research and unlock the full potential of the mutant creatures, while others believe that they must escape and find a way to destroy their creations before they are killed or captured. The debate is heated, but ultimately, the scientists who wish to continue their research manage to convince the majority. They gather their equipment and begin to work on a device that will amplify their control over the mutant creatures, hoping to turn the tide of the battle in their favor. As the battle rages on, the forces of Frostreach and California make their final push towards the facility. The Elemental Lords, now in perfect harmony with their elemental allies, create a massive wall of earth and water that separates the mutant creatures from the facility, trapping them outside. The Celestial Dragons, meanwhile, fly high above the battle, using their immense speed and agility to scout for any signs of the scientists attempting to escape. Within the facility, the scientists frantically work on the amplification device, their fingers bleeding as they race against time. They finally manage to complete the device, but as they activate it, they realize that they have underestimated the creature's intelligence. The mutant creatures, sensing the threat posed by the device, use their combined powers to overwhelm and destroy it, sending the scientists flying through the air like ragdolls. Outside, the forces of Frostreach and California witness the explosion from a distance and exchange worried glances. They know that the scientists are no longer a threat, but they also know that the mutant creatures are now even more dangerous than before. The Elemental Lords and Celestial Dragons continue their assault, using their elemental and divine powers to weaken the creatures' defenses, but they cannot hope to defeat them all. As night falls, the mutant creatures grow more ferocious, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. They seem to be drawing strength from the darkness, becoming more resilient and cunning. The remaining scientists, those who survived the explosion, gather their remaining resources and attempt to flee the scene, hoping to hide in the chaos and rebuild their lives elsewhere. The forces of Frost Reach and California, now realizing the true extent of the threat they face, work together in a desperate attempt to contain the mutant creatures. The Elemental Lords focus their efforts on creating natural barriers, using their control over earth and water to funnel the creatures into contained areas. The Celestial Dragons, using their divine might, try to weaken their foes from above, raining down bolts of lightning and fiery breath upon them. Inside the research facility, the surviving scientists manage to slip past the chaos and escape into the night. They vow to continue their work in secret, convinced that their creations can still bring about a new era of peace and prosperity if handled responsibly. As they disappear into the shadows, they leave behind a trail of destruction and a world forever changed by their actions. Outside, the battle rages on. The Elemental Lords and Celestial Dragons continue to fight valiantly against the mutant creatures, but their numbers are dwindling. The Elemental Lords, their powers waning, realize that they must find a way to restore balance to the elements before it's too late. They begin to work together in a desperate attempt to cleanse the land of the corruption that has taken hold. Meanwhile, the surviving scientists manage to evade capture and disappear into the night. They set up a new underground laboratory, hidden deep within the frozen tundra of the Arctic Circle. There, they continue their research, determined to perfect their creations and find a way to control them. Over time, they manage to create a new race of mutant creatures, more docile and intelligent than their predecessors. They hope that these new creatures will be the key to restoring balance to the world and ushering in a new era of peace and understanding. As the battle rages on, the forces of Frost Reach and California begin to falter. The Elemental Lords, now weakened by their constant use of power, are forced to retreat, leaving the Celestial Dragons to fend for themselves. The mutant creatures, sensing weakness, launch a final assault on the remaining defenders. The Celestial Dragons, despite their divine might, are overwhelmed by sheer numbers and fall one by one. In a desperate attempt to save what remains of their forces, the leaders of Frost Reach and California order a full retreat, hoping to regroup and plan their next move. Meanwhile, the surviving scientists in the Arctic Circle continue their work, unaware of the catastrophe that has unfolded. They make significant progress in their research, creating a new breed of mutant creatures that possess both the intelligence of human beings and the adaptability of their predecessors. These creatures, dubbed neo-humans, are able to communicate with one another and learn from their environment. The scientists believe that they have finally found a way to harness the power of mutation for the betterment of mankind. In Frost Reach and California, the surviving forces regroup and plan their next move. They realize that the threat of the mutant creatures has not been completely eradicated, and that the Elemental Lords and Celestial Dragons must be restored to their former strength if they are to prevent another disaster. The leaders of both nations come together, setting aside their differences in the face of this common enemy. They form a united front, with the goal of finding the surviving scientists and putting an end to their experiments once and for all. Meanwhile, the scientists in the Arctic Circle continue their work, unaware of the danger that looms. They successfully create a neo-human colony, teaching them basic skills such as agriculture and engineering. The neo-humans thrive in their icy home, adapting to the harsh climate and using their intelligence to survive. As time passes, they begin to explore the world outside their Arctic sanctuary, venturing south into the lands that were once ruled by Frost Reach and California. The united forces of Frost Reach and California track down the location of the Arctic Circle lab, determined to put an end to the experiments. They launch a covert operation, infiltrating the base and taking out the guards silently. As they make their way to the main lab, they discover the neo-human colony, thriving under the guidance of the scientists. The leaders of Frost Reach and California are torn. They know that the neo-humans pose a threat to the world, but they cannot bring themselves to destroy these creatures that seem so much like themselves. In the end, they decide to negotiate. They offer the neo-humans a chance to leave the Arctic Circle and join the rest of humanity, promising them a place to live and work in peace. The neo-humans, recognizing the wisdom and compassion of the leaders, accept their offer. They leave the frozen wasteland behind, following the surviving scientists south as they begin a new life among the people of the world. The neo-humans quickly adapt to their new surroundings, using their intelligence and adaptability to contribute to the advancement of society. They form their own cities and societies, learning from the mistakes of the past and creating a more peaceful and harmonious world. They establish trade routes and diplomatic relations with other nations, acting as ambassadors for their kind and promoting understanding and cooperation among the people of the earth. The Empire of Frostreach comes up with the brilliant idea of using the neo-humans to exterminate their vicious mutant precursor prototypes. The neo-humans, understanding the threat these creatures pose to their newfound home, agree to aid in this endeavor. They use their intelligence and adaptability to track down the remaining mutants, using stealth and guile when necessary. As they hunt down the mutants, they also gather information about their lairs and numbers, sharing this intel with the leaders of Frostreach and California. With the neo-humans as their allies, the combined forces of Frostreach and California launch a coordinated attack on the remaining strongholds of the mutants. The neo-humans use their knowledge of the terrain and their ability to communicate with one another to outmaneuver and ambush the mutants, while the soldiers of Frostreach and California engage them in direct combat. The campaign is brutal and relentless, but the neo-humans and their human allies prove to be unstoppable. They systematically hunt down and destroy every last stronghold of the mutants, eliminating the threat once and for all. In the aftermath of the war, the neo-humans continue to live alongside humans, using their intelligence and adaptability to further advance society. They become respected members of the international community, acting as ambassadors for peace and understanding among all nations. The Empire then offers the state of California let themselves get annexed into the Empire in exchange for guaranteed instant protection from the catastrophes that always seem to strike them. The leaders of California consider this offer carefully. They recognize the wisdom and strength that comes with being part of a larger empire, and they are weary of constantly struggling to rebuild after each disaster. On the other hand, they are proud of their state and its people, and they worry about losing their independence. After much deliberation, they decide to accept the Empire's offer. The citizens of California, while initially wary, soon come to see the benefits of being part of a greater whole. Trade flourishes, infrastructure improves, and the state becomes a shining jewel within the Empire. The neo-humans too, feel more at ease within the Empire's protective embrace, and their unique perspective and abilities are welcomed by all. The Empire of Frostreach decides to use the core sacred relic to attempt to summon all of the remaining sacred artifacts to it. The ceremony takes place in the heart of the Empire, deep within the icy caverns that serve as its capital. The High Priest of Frostreach, adorned in regal robes and wearing a crown of ice, stands before a massive obsidian altar. Around him, other priests and nobles chant ancient words, their voices echoing through the caverns in a haunting, otherworldly harmony. As the ritual reaches its climax, the priest holds aloft the core sacred relic, its glow intensifying until it seems to be the very heart of the frozen world. With a dramatic flourish, he thrusts it into the center of the altar. Immediately, a ripple of energy sweeps through the cavern, followed by a blinding flash of light. When the light fades, it becomes clear that the artifact has indeed summoned the other sacred artifacts to it. They appear around the altar, floating in the air, their glowing orbs spinning with otherworldly energy. The Empire of Sunhaven then decides to attempt to research advanced nanotechnology. The neo-humans, with their unique biology and connection to technology, prove invaluable assets in this endeavor. They are able to interface with the machines on a level that even the most gifted human scientists can only dream of, and their adaptability allows them to withstand the harsh conditions that nanotech labs often demand. As a result, the Empire makes rapid progress in the field, developing new applications for nanotechnology at a breakneck pace. One such application is the creation of a self-healing armor, designed to protect soldiers from the most devastating weapons on the battlefield. This armor uses nanobots to repair damage in real time, allowing soldiers to remain combat effective even when faced with intense fire. The Empire is quick to adopt this technology, equipping its entire military with a life-saving armor. A dimensional rift appears in Megacoda, the origin state of the Empire of Frostreach. The Neo-Humans, who have long been fascinated by the mysteries of the cosmos, send explorers to investigate this phenomenon. They quickly discover that the rift is stable and can be harnessed for interdimensional travel. The Empire of Frostreach becomes the first nation to master this technology, opening up the possibility of exploring new worlds and civilizations. The Empire of Sunhaven decides to attempt to research advanced energy weapons technology. The Empire turns to the Neo-Humans once again for their unique perspective and expertise. The Neo-Humans, with their innate understanding of technology and the natural world, are able to design energy weapons that are both incredibly powerful and environmentally friendly. The Empire's scientists are amazed by their progress, as the new weapons not only pack a devastating punch but also have minimal impact on the battlefield and the surrounding environment.